Very good afternoon. Good morning, Adair, Carolyn, Osho. Good to see you. Welcome, everybody. We've got an interesting session ahead now. Sentiment is looking pretty positive, so just check this. We could be in for a bit of a move today. Let's have a look. Hi, Carolyn. You're just on the one desk today. Haven't got the double hot desking. Brilliant. Yeah. All right. Let's just check the squawk is on. I also want to share something with you today as well, which is value investing. I've just done a little lesson on finding value stocks. I'm going to share that with you when I sort of finish the morning rundown. So just while we're waiting for the open, I'll play that. All right then, folks, let's get stuck into the session. Now, we had some data out that's just come in, and this will help us play into the big picture. You can see continuous jobless claims are below market's minimum expectations. Initial jobless claims below the expected. Good. And the prior revised lower for continuous jobless claims. Remember what the Fed said on Friday via Jerome Powell at Jackson Hole, that they've got two concerns. Concern number one is inflation. Concern number two is maximum employment. Powell said that employment is becoming more of a focus. Now that was relevant because the last NFP we saw below expected print and then the prior revised lower. So it was dicey in terms of US labor, and that got anticipation of a Fed interest rate cut coming. Now Powell has pretty much played into that narrative, and he's indicated that a September rate cut is on the cards. So now we see 86% chance of an interest rate cut for September. And you can see the current expectations of the curve is lower. In other words, lower interest rates are now anticipated. That immediately on Friday, remember, this is the major thing that's driving markets. That sent the dollar lower, right? And that's lifting the majors at the moment. So that narrative is right back into play. Now we are in a technical important area. There is a decent tradable opportunity here with dollar yen. Remember, this was something, where was it? Here it was. We were looking at this earlier in the week with that Friday decision from Jerome Powell. So let's see that long weekly candle, right? So looking for any retracements up to that 149 suitable for shorting. If you look at this now, this is condensing price action. So that means this area becomes very interesting for breaking out. So breakout retest, look for this, right? Intraday, so breakout, retest, that's the thing to look for. So you've got this, either a false break at that level, selling straight at 149, stops running above the high, or breakout thing, right? And look at the weekly. When you have a pin bar inside bar, if the week closes like that, then look for a sharp drop next week. So that's dollar yen. And remember that's all driven by this major narrative that the Fed's cutting interest rates in September. There's not much going on in terms of markets. So that's been dominating the landscape. We've got a 7-year auction, I think, coming up later today. That can move markets coming up at 6. Got Fed's Waller today at 11 UK time. Remember what Waller wants? He wants interest rate cuts. He also potentially wants the Fed job. So he's going to be wanting to be seen to be signaling interest rate cuts. And apart from that, there's not a lot going on. There's some French politics going on, but that's not massively moving markets. There's some European politics going on in Holland as well, but that's not massively moving markets. But it's just in the background, just mention it in case. Otherwise, remember this area we looked at yesterday? We are now trying to push out of that area. Now, we broke above, but we're able to move higher. But there's a potential to move higher again on this like strong labor data. So it wouldn't be unreasonable to see more upside. Remember, seasonally, September is weak for stocks. But this period, turn of the month, tends to be strong for stocks. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some strength to end the week. Look at volatility, very low. Stocks up across the board, FTSE 100 just pulling back, but broadly speaking, positive sentiment. Bonds finding bids because they're expecting lower interest rates. Remember the difference between the 2-year and a 10-year? 2-year bond yields moving lower. That's the part of the curve that is focusing on Short interest rate, term interest rate, so that's why it's dropped sharply. The 10-year less so, and the 30-year, see, even less so, sort of holding a bit. So short term markets are happy. Medium, longer term, the jury's still out. That'll depend on inflation. But for now, it's just dollar weakness, and dollar yen downside, euro dollar upside makes sense. Stock upside. That's the kind of broad sentiment that's out there. Looking at the ES, you can see the 1 hour chart. Delta is positive. Market's trying to trap sellers if you can push above this area. Looking at it on the TPO, you can see that we're into a bit of like kind of resistance area, a value area high, right? And we are opening above the value area high from yesterday. So market is trying to go imbalanced. Got the R1 up here, but any pullbacks to there, right? There's also that value area high. Look for potential shorts, so longs, right? So here, back down to there, right? That's what I'm looking for. Now, looking at this, I took a quick long when we had that weak data, because if you look on the tick chart here at that region, you see we had buyers come in after the data, 130, and they trapped sellers here, right, against the VWAP and in that value area high. So a lovely area to go long. Just went long, just took a very quick scalp on the tick chart. And now we can see 15 minutes, markets pushing above these highs. Not a massive amount of volume, trying to trap these sellers, but those sellers trapped and now more volume coming in. So this is looking like it wants to keep moving higher, push above that. And if we're above that level there at the open, then we could look for more longs, okay? Potentially a move up to the 6510. We are holding if we can break above this level, the 6500 region. So that's what we're looking for. Let's have a look. I think that's the major things to note. Oh yeah, and I'm maintaining silver longs. So maintaining my silver longs, just a reminder of the principle of this was pushing above that Bollinger Band on the weekly chart and looking for about 3 or 4 months of about 21 weeks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So about halfway through what you'd expect. And stops just running underneath that 20-day moving average. So that's pushing higher. And now on balance volume, trying to push higher as well. So it looks like that little pullback is potentially over and price is going to keep moving up. So that's great. Gold, watch out for this. Yeah, still long for copper, Osho. I like that. And I think that's more structural. So at some point, I'm expecting copper prices to pick up. Still long copper. And I'm not leveraged in my copper trade. So it's much less stress for me. And then gold, I'm looking for potential further longs. I am long gold as well, and I'm looking for a breakout and see how it responds to this level here. Just come up to a 5-minute close. Trying to hold, yeah, very strong. Looks like it wants to keep going. Strong, still there. 5-minute, trap some sellers. So you could get a pullback. Any pullback is suitable for buying. Now, suitable for buying if we get a turnaround here. Right, there's a little potential turnaround. Let's see. There's that potential turnaround just coming in, which is into seeing buyers. It's back down to that area. See, you've got turnaround down here at the around the VWAP. That's what I'm looking for. There's the tick chart. The buyers trying to come in here. Now testing that VWAP. It's important. The last area for a defense. Let's see if you get some buyers trapping sellers here. That's what I'm looking for. There we go. Buyers trapping the sellers here. Let's see if that's the turnaround. Just gonna, because that is those buyers trapping the sellers. So that's the pullback to the VWAP. Let's see if that can be a defense. Another pullback. This is an important area here. Important what happens there. 5 minutes. Let's see. Do those sellers, are those buyers still there? That's the question. Will they remain there? Big picture, we're looking for this pullback. So we've got the pullback, and now we're looking for the pullback to carry on. Look at it on the tick. Great. That's important. If right there, that's good. Sellers got trapped there. So that's a little bit more power to the bulls there. 5-minute close coming up, held. 15-minute holding. Trying to build a defense here. A 5-minute hold there. Sellers come in, they couldn't trap the buyers. Buyers are still here. Nadja, I'm just pointing out on balance volume sort of rising, trying to pick up here. Okay, price moving down, but very low volume. Not a strong conviction there for sellers. Buyers instantly buying that dip, but then getting sold back. That's quite important in this area because that's where those buyers came in. So VWAPs, this is an important area here. 2 minutes of the first 15-minute close. Now, Delta is positive on the session, positive since the start of the session. Important area. Now we've got a minute and 45 seconds. We want to see these buyers trap some sellers, really. Yeah. No, don't worry. It makes a change. It's normally me, Nadja. Still positive, Delta-wise. Get underneath those buyers, then that is, you've got to wait for a different entry, really. So I need to see if those buyers are able to hold it. That's the question. They just held it. Just 5 minutes. Buyers are still there. All right. Now the question is, how far down do we go? Is it just to, and that there the bounce? Still waiting for that bounce. We're now into that value area, which is not a bad area for buyers to come in. So that's where I'd expect them to come in here. Let's see. Here they're coming back above the VWAP. That's your deeper entry. Delta is still positive. That value area just holding still. Buyers trying to come back in. Look at that, testing those lows again. Still holding underneath that VWAP. Right, another attempt to sell off the VWAP coming in. So we're into that pullback area here, which is where it'd be reasonable to expect a pullback to. Having another attempt at these lows, and they're going to try and take those lows out as well. And they have managed to. Now that is the potential deeper pullback to this area here.
We have just under 10 minutes now to the top of the hour. US pending home sales data for July is due. Consensus expects a decline of 0.1% month on month versus a prior decline of 0.8.
Yeah, I see that in the NQ. Yeah. So just going to keep my eye on this area here. That's where we're at. That's that second area for buying. A lot of delta that's come in there. Let's just have a little look at, oh, what a pain this is. Right. It's just that deeper pullback. I've still got some longs on the other account, just buying in deeper there. You see it trying to bottom here on a bit of delta. Be careful, that's a pretty heavy move lower. Let's just have a little look at what's going on. Yeah, it's a potential false break of that level again, isn't it? Volatility pushing up a little bit higher. I'm just going to leave that level as my last kind of potential zone. Let's see how we do on the 15-minute close. Delta has shot negative now, that's the problem.